What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a fresh edition of Dodgers Territory. I am not Alanna Rizzo, but I am Clint Pasillas, and that guy is not Clint Pasillas. That is Kyle Glaser, not Kyle. But guys, first, let's say the things we got to get out of the way at the top. Please subscribe to the show. Please like the show. Please share it with your friends. Share it with your grandma. All that kind of stuff. Kyle here is, you guys should know him. He's been around the baseball space online for many, many years, but he's now part of the Foul Network hosting a Padres show. So I understand people are going to be upset. We got Padres here in the house, but it's a good time to find out what's going on in San Diego and know thy enemy. So first, Kyle, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Doing all right, Clint. Glad to be on with you.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. Looking forward to another season. You know, Dodgers had themselves a short off season in all the best ways, but it is time. It's this time to watch this team come together. Time to watch all teams come together. Spring training right around the corner. But the main thing we want to point out is again, subscribe to his show as well, Friar Territory. You guys got yourself, Mike Cameron, Heath Bell on there, a couple former Padres you guys should know very, very well as Dodgers fans and all that kind of stuff. So let's jump into it, man. Know your enemy. That's what I kind of wanted to make the whole narrative of the early part of this show. And Padres were very, very good. Gave the Dodgers a run for their money, we'll say at the very least, last year and in the postseason up until they stopped hitting and scoring. This is not looking like the same Padres team that nearly knocked the Dodgers out of the postseason a few months ago. What's going on with San Diego? We don't need to talk so much about the ownership. I want to pin that for a little bit, but how are fans, how are you feeling about this team, you know, at this point with about 10 days until spring training starts?
I would definitely say there's a lot of anxiety about the state of the franchise and the team. You look at this Padres roster right now, and you still have a pretty good top six hitters in the order. You still have a pretty good top three starting pitchers, and you still have a pretty good bullpen. But there are some very, very clear holes. We saw they were unable to bring back Jerkson Profar. They were unable to bring back Kyle Higashioka. They don't have a lot of room to add payroll now, which obviously ownership, the situation there is a big part of that. They failed to land Roki Sasaki, who of course went to the Dodgers. Last year, obviously the Dodgers and Padres were two of the best teams in baseball, and I think you could argue at the end they were the two best teams at baseball. I was at an event earlier this offseason where Dave Roberts straight up said they felt like whoever won that DS was going to win the World Series, and I think that was a very, very fair assessment. Since then, the Dodgers have gotten even better from where they were last year, while the Padres have undeniably gotten worse from where they were last year. So there's no question. There's a lot of concern in San Diego about the ownership situation. There's a very, very real acknowledgement that this roster right now is very top heavy and incomplete, and there's not a lot of depth there. The Padres have traded pretty much all their prospects who would have been major league ready. The few good prospects they still have are all teenagers who've barely played above A ball and will not be ready to help the major league team this year. So there's a lack of roster depth. There's a lack of farm system depth on top of, everything going on with ownership. I would say it's definitely not great vibes in San Diego right now.
Yeah, it's a complete opposite for Dodgers fans. They're just ready to chomp it at the bit to see this team come together, see Roki Sasaki throwing a baseball for the first time. Of course, the Padres. If you had if you had to ask me at the start of the offseason, I really thought there was a strong chance Roki was going to San Diego. But of course, we've kind of heard some of the players, mainly Profar, pointing out that situation, the ownership situation, it's definitely thrown at the bare minimum a bit of a wrench in the offseason plans for San Diego. But still, they got a good club. They have, like you said, it's very top heavy roster. You're hoping for some continued growth from like Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis. Maybe he can get back to the kind of slug and kind of OPS as we saw from a few years ago, but still very, very good in right field. It seems to me like the biggest problem for San Diego right now is the pitching department, and we're hearing the murmurs, the rumors, the whispers. Maybe Michael King is on the trade block. Maybe Dylan Cease. What's going on in that regard? Are those guys like seriously actively being shopped? And if so, who is going to fill out that rotation?
So AJ Preller's MO is always to take every phone call, be aggressive, talk about big trade packages. No one is untradeable when AJ Preller is at the helm. Prospects, big leaguers, the Padres are very, very, very aggressive in exploring all possibilities, even the ones that seem completely far-fetched. That's just how they operate. So realistically, what this comes down to is the Padres have a number of roster holes. They do not have sufficient budget room to address all those holes in free agency. So they're looking at ways they can trade away some of their higher salaried players. And the first place you go is the players who are going to be free agents after this year that are on higher salary deals. That's Dylan Cease, that's Michael King, that's Luis Arias, all of whom are hugely impactful players for the Padres, but they need to create some budget room somehow, some way. And the players who are going to be free agents after this year is the first place you turn to for that. In terms of the rotation depth, you talk about the players they need to take a step forward. I would actually say the players need to take a step forward are the guys who have shown flashes, but they need to be more consistent. Again, you feel really good about going into the season with Yu Darvish, Michael King, and Dylan Cease as your top three. Matt Waldron, we saw, had a really good first half last year, really fell off in the second half. Randy Vasquez had a really poor first half, got better in the second half. I wouldn't say it was great, but he got better. These are two young starters you really want to see take a step forward to fill out that rotation. Similarly in the lineup, Luis Campusano had a chance to be the Padres starting catcher last year, couldn't hold on to the job. He's shown some offensive potential in the past, particularly the end of 2023. If he can take a step forward offensively and defensively, that goes a long way toward helping lengthen the lineup. So the Padres do have some younger players who have big league time. They need to take a step forward. If they do, it will certainly help their depth issues. But it's a big question. Will they or can they?
Yeah, and again, on the flip side, because I mean, there's so much we can get into with the prospects, and you already mentioned as well. If you're looking at San Diego's like top 30, the guys in the top 100. The people, the names you see are not names that are anywhere near helping this ball club. And I know I covered the Padres a little bit a couple of years ago for Sports Illustrated, and I can still remember even 2 years ago, we're talking about Ethan Salas. They're like, oh man, this guy's the future. Yeah, distant future. You still got a few more years before this. Now, what is he, 18-year-old could potentially take over behind the dish. Definitely no Elias Diaz or whatever, but Campusano making some steps forward, all that. Yeah, it's there's still a lot of good in that organization. It feels like they're trending. They're not trending in the right direction. I'm trying to find the way to word this properly because I don't want Padres fans coming after me. I know they have the ability to. The groundwork is there. This was supposed to be another offseason of continuing to add and get better, and unfortunately, the Dodgers were the ones to do all of that. Before we kind of move forward, I'm interested in getting kind of your perspective of what the Dodgers have done this offseason, looking at particularly that starting rotation, adding Snell, a former Padre, hey, even in the pitching staff, adding Tanner Scott. I'm sure that one stings a good bit for Padres fans. What's your taste of what the Dodgers have done this winter?
They took the best team in baseball and made it even better, which at the end of the day is everyone's job is to put the best team on the field that you can. And the Dodgers have done that exceptionally well. I think a lot of people complain about the money, but at the end of the day, if you have the resources, might as well put them on the field as opposed to the pockets of ownership. And the Dodgers do a great job of taking all their success and reinvesting it into the roster at the major league level, scouting department, player development. They understand that's the players who win the games, not the front office data analysts, and they have no qualms about investing in on-field performance. I really like the Blake Snell edition in particular because obviously this was a rotation with Clayton Kershaw yet to resign. That was slated to be very, very right-handed, almost exclusively right-handed. Now you add in that lefty element who can really bring it. Snell has also shown a little more durability than a lot of other pitchers in the Dodgers rotation right now. Again, no one would accuse Blake Snell of being a workhorse, but he does have a 180 inning season on his resume. It's not something a lot of other Dodgers starting pitchers have right now. So I like the lefty addition there. In terms of what they've done in the bullpen, again, this was already a great unit. You add Tanner Scott, one of the best lefty relievers in baseball. Kirby Yates, who's been ageless. As long as he's been healthy, he's been effective for years now. So again, this is a team that is the most talented team in baseball, but I would say the Dodgers are the most talented organization in baseball because then you go down and there's still, even after a lot of prospect trades, there's a lot of really good players throughout their farm system, AAA, AA, the Class A levels, pitchers, hitters. They have guys they can bring up every single year. We saw that last year with Andy Pajas and Landon Knack to plug holes. The Dodgers were already in a great place, and they're in an even better place now.
Yeah, really, if you kind of peel it back, the Dodgers had no business getting as far in the postseason, let alone winning a World Series with all of the injuries they had to endure. But thankfully things worked out for them on our side of things. We're going to continue the conversation in just a minute, but first we got to hear a quick word from AJ Przinsky and Scott Braun for 800 Flowers.
Hey, Valentine's Day is coming up, and we have the recommendation for you to check out right now. Don't wait. It's 1-800-Flowers.com. This year, we're partnering with 1-800-Flowers to make sure you're a Valentine's legend with an exclusive offer for the FT fam. It's double the roses for free. When you buy 1 dozen, they're going to double your bouquet to 2 dozen roses. It's the perfect way to wow her without breaking the bank. 1-800-Flowers always delivers. Let them dominate this holiday. It's what they do best.
Think about everyone in your fam that deserves some love on Valentine's Day. I sent a bouquet to my daughter at college, and it lit up her day. I also added an awesome vase to the order for her, so she's got it all.
All roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, cared for every step of the way, and shipped fresh to ensure lasting beauty. Don't wait. Think ahead this year. Make it easy and get that deal right now. When you order 1 dozen, they'll double the rose bouquet for free. That's the FT deals that we're always looking out for. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/FT. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/FT.
Big shout out to 1-800-Flowers for sponsoring the show today. And what I love about Valentine's Day, and I told Alanna this on Monday, it means spring training is right around the corner if we're talking about flowers and stuff like that. It's not all flowers and sunshine in San Diego. We're talking around it a whole bunch. You and I talked a little bit before going live here. What I need you to do, I'm having you put on your expert hat here. Of course, host of Friars Territory. This guy is a man in the know, has been covering baseball for a long time. And down in San Diego, it's a very interesting situation with the ownership. And that's what's very, very much hamstrung the organization this offseason. Can you help me kind of give Dodgers fans here and baseball fans as a whole a better perspective of what exactly is going on with this ownership? We'll call it Padres ownership debacle 101 or something like that. Enlighten us as to what's going on and if things are going to get worse before they get better.
Sure. So 30,000 foot view here, just the general overview. Peter Seidler unfortunately passed away last November, and he had always talked about his dream, his goal was to have Padres ownership in his family for generations. What has happened is it's not clear what exactly was meant by family. Eric Kusenda, who's his business partner, was named interim control person for a year. And earlier last month, his brothers, Matt and Bob Seidler, named another brother, John Seidler, the control person moving forward. Sheil Seidler, who is Peter Seidler's widow, filed a lawsuit against the brothers, Bob and Matt, alleging a number of concerning allegations, including fiduciary breaches of trust, fraud, and self-dealing. From a baseball perspective, the core argument was that she should be the rightful control person. So she filed a lawsuit in Texas court saying that she should be the control person of the Padres, among other things, but from a baseball perspective, that's what's most relevant. Matt Seidler, earlier this week, filed his response in Texas court refuting many of Sheil Seidler's claims, as well as stating and producing what he says is evidence that she was never meant to be the control person, that Peter had set it up, that the control of the franchise would remain in his family trust, and thus the brothers would be overall in charge of that. So right now you have essentially from a baseball perspective, because there are other legal issues here involving finances, but from a baseball perspective, Sheil Seidler, who is Peter Seidler's widow, claiming she should be the control person of the franchise and filing a lawsuit for that in court. The brothers are saying, no, we should be the control person of the franchise. This is still the very, very early stages. No one has ever accused the American legal system of working quickly. And unfortunately, there's a real fear and sense that this is going to drag out and cast a pall over the franchise for the foreseeable future. Not a few months, but a lot of times these things can take years. Every case is different. We have to see how it progresses, but there's a real fear that this is something that's going to drag on for a while.
And I know we had some documentation kind of surface recent days, mentioning the kind of O'Malley factor, which has seen some Padres fans having a real, now it's a Dodgers plant. Of course, the O'Malleys owned the Dodgers for decades. where do the O'Malleys fit into this whole thing, or how does Peter O'Malley in particular fit into this equation? And is that something that's blowing up more than it needs to, or being kind of trying to attempt, I guess, to blow up than more than it needs to?
It's not really hugely relevant to this case. So Peter Seidler is a descendant of the O'Malley family, and so Shiel Seidler's lawsuit, and again alleging that the brothers had more or less conspired to take control of the Padres franchise from her, discussed how because they are O'Malley descendants, they felt it was their ancestral right to own the team. That's where that came up. Um, Again, it's not any shade at Peter O'Malley or the Dodgers or
Mm-hmm.
Walter O'Malley. It's just the idea that the Seidlers being descendants of the O'Malleys, she claims her words were that this was their ancestral. They felt this was their ancestral right and wrestled to control the team away from her. Again, that is her allegation. Matt Seidler in his response laid out what he claims is evidence that the team was always meant to go to the brothers. So it's going to have to be worked out in the courts, and there's a very real chance it gets ugly and more public airing of grievances. And a lot of times when things go to trial, a lot comes out in discovery that neither the team nor the league wants in the public space. So
Yeah.
there's a real chance this could get ugly. Everyone's hoping for the best, but we just have to let the legal process play out.
I mean, Dodgers fans, of course, you've covered the Dodgers at points in your life and in your career. You could go back about 15 years, the McCourt, Frank McCourt, Jamie McCourt, how ugly that got, how very public that got. Could we see something where maybe it just gets out of hand? I mean, I don't think the Padres are at a point where they need to borrow. I guess they did borrow money at the end of 2023, but not at a point where, the league needs to step in and be like, look, just sell the team. Things are going bad. You can't make payroll. Could it get that bleak, or is that really like the absolute worst case scenario?
The fear is that it could end up that way. Again, when you're talking about, you know, we have to let the legal process unfold. And I think it's important to remember that we're still in the very, very early stages of this. There's a lot still to come, and trying to predict exactly what's going to happen is kind of irresponsible because there's so many layers to this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the legal process is opaque at best. So I think, yes, that scenario is certainly considered the worst case scenario. And the fear that a lot of people have, the Padres organization, Padres fans, the city of San Diego as a whole, that this upward ascent that we've seen the Padres be on the last few years, being competitive year in and year out, being a team that's in the top 10 in payroll, Petco Park selling out every single night, and the atmosphere being absolutely electric. There is definitely a concern that this could stop and halt all that momentum. We don't know how it will play out. Everyone's hoping that the worst case scenario does not come to fruition, but everyone has to just kind of wait and see at this point, which is frustrating. People want answers now, but that's just not the real world we live in.
Yeah, again, it's really unfortunate. I love what Peter was doing. I love what the Padres are doing. Everybody is better when the Padres are better. The Dodgers get better, and it's just better for baseball. We actually felt like, and Dodgers fans are going to hate that I'm going to say it, felt like we were getting something close to a true rivalry growing, and hopefully it doesn't fall off too drastically in the coming years. We're not done here yet, but I do want to point out, guys, because I want to talk more Dodgers with Kyle here, but don't forget to subscribe to the new Friar Territory show. Kyle co-hosts along with Mike Cameron. Heath Bell is in there. How often are you guys going live, and what can you tell folks about what to expect on the show? Oh, wait, hold on. My bad. I think I had you muted for some reason. Go ahead. Go ahead there.
No worries. Yep, we record every Monday with Mike Cameron, every Thursday with Heath Bell. We're going to break down all things San Diego Padres, what's going on with the ownership situation, in-depth roster analysis, farm system analysis, great stories from Mike and Heath. We've had a lot of great stuff already. And we're going to talk about, how they see the franchise in the context of Major League Baseball. Well, let's talk about broader trends in the game as a whole. Again, Mike and Heath have tremendous experience. They played for the Padres, but played for multiple teams. Both are still very involved in the game. I, of course, bring a background as a national writer, not just a Padres beat writer. So we'll be talking about all things Padres, but we're going to talk about trends in the game, what's happening in the NL West. It should just be a great baseball show. I hope everyone enjoys and subscribes and listens.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Looking happy to have you joining us here. We were the initial guinea pig, and I guess Alanna and I worked out because now there's 500. I think there's more shows than teams. So foul territory to the moon, the entire network. All right, I'm looking for more Dodgers perspective from you, putting the national cap back on. Of course, you're also doing some more national work with MLB.com. Again, glad to see your name writing more because that's always good for everybody. And the fun question we've been getting a lot more, seeing a lot more this offseason is, are the Dodgers ruining baseball? With all these deferrals, signing up everybody's players. What's your take about what the Dodgers are doing? I mean, you've kind of touched on it already throughout the show, but like, what's really like, as a baseball fan as well, how do you feel about what the Dodgers in this front office have done to build? I mean, you could put it in an argument. Not we can't say it until we see it, but like this is arguably one of the best teams you're ever going to see on paper.
Yeah, the whole ruining baseball, it's lazy, it's people are bored and clearly need more to talk about. There is nothing wrong. I will never, ever, ever criticize an ownership group for putting the best possible team on the field and investing the money and resources to do so. At the end of the day, that's what every team should be striving to do. And now, look, the Dodgers certainly have more resources available to them than the Reds, the Royals, the Pirates. Their TV deal is huge, $300 million dollars plus in revenue a year. A lot of other teams can't match that, and everyone understands that. What the Dodgers have always done really, really well is they invest fully in player development, they invest fully in scouting, they invest fully in their minor leaguers, health. There's so many organizations out there that are cutting scouts or have a bare bones scouting staff or don't have enough coaches in player development or are keeping their minor leaguers food and shelter insecure. All these things are just so self-sabotaging and short-sighted and greedy. And the Dodgers, to their credit, have never done that. I think a lot of people point to their baseball information systems, their analytics departments, and that's certainly a big part of what they do. But they also understand that data is a supplement to in-person evaluations. It is not a replacement. When you look at this organization, Brandon Gomes, general manager, former big leaguer; Will Rhymes, farm director, former big leaguer; Billy Gasparino, scouting director, baseball lifer who played professionally. They have baseball people that they are equipping with the best possible information, and they are fully funding every aspect of their organization: scouting, player development, living situations, weight rooms, all of it, up through the major league roster. That is how every team should operate, and too few of them do. So I've written about this. The Dodgers are the model organization. Yes, they have larger revenue streams than everyone else, but they also spend their money more wisely than a lot of other teams. And that ultimately is what their legacy should be. There's a lot of teams who have a lot of money out there and do not spend it wisely. The Dodgers consistently, year in and year out, invest in the right things, hire the right people, and spend it wisely.
And that's where you see them. What ESPN dropped their top 100 prospects list. There's I think there's 8 Dodgers on there. Baseball America, there's 6 Dodgers on there or 5 on there. MLB Pipeline, it was 6. Like, there's a reason the Dodgers are good, and it's exactly what you just said. They focus on every little thing, up to and including now. They're building a complex for the single A team over here in Rancho Cucamonga, moving it to Ontario because when big leaguers go on their minor league rehab assignments, they tend to go to Rancho, and it's a nice little park, but it needed a lot of help. Now, if you're able to get that, turn it into your own little I guess day spa, your own little drive line spot, and whatever else you can do. It's just going to make your prospects better, even your big leaguers better, and all that. As we get some teams, let's say, and Artie Moreno, I haven't thrown him under the bus for a little bit. We've been hearing for how long? 3 years about them renovating Tempe Diablo in Arizona, but it still hasn't been done. And that's where you see those struggles. Love hearing from somebody with the knowledge that you have, how good this front office is, the organization, Mark Walter, top down, Stan Kasten, how they understand. Put your money in the product and you're going to get it back in return, sometimes tenfold. And that's what this Dodgers organization does.
No question. Again, and it's a testament to everyone in the front office, Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, all the way down. And even some of this, the previous regime did a really good job of it. I think Ned Coletti and Logan White, they deserve a lot of credit as well for a lot of the players they drafted and helped develop. So look, there's a reason the Dodgers are the winningest organization in baseball since 2013. There's a reason they won 2 last 5 World Series, and it's not as simple as, oh, they just have the largest payroll. Again, it makes a difference. If you want to win a World Series, you have to spend money. I've written about this extensively. If you're in the bottom half of payroll, you're not actually a World Series contender. World Series champions almost always come from the top half in payroll. But just because you spend money does not guarantee you'll win. You still have to spend it and invest it wisely. And the Dodgers, to their credit, have good baseball people armed with the data and information and make the best possible decisions, as opposed to hiring data people and expecting them to do the right things baseball wise, which is a mistake a lot of organizations make.
Yeah, so hopefully they keep on keeping on. I think we're going to be fine as Dodgers fans for quite some time. We got a little bit more baseball talk, but first we're going to throw to Last Licks. Even with Alanna out, we quickly wanted to tell you about Paisley. This is an adorable pup. It's a 1-year-old Australian Shepherd mixed that they just rescued from, I believe it was one of them high kill shelters in the Devore area. She's currently, or the pup, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, definitely very adorable, being fostered in the Santa Clarita area, and is going to be available for adoption in about a month. So if you can do anything looking to add a pup and actually take care of that pup for the long term, looking to add to the family, check out Gidgery'sGuardian.org. Send Alanna a DM, be respectful, and see how you can help, of course, with Paisley, who, again, look at, has a very adorable pup. Quickly, since we were last live here on Dodgers territory, we got the almost official news. Kirby Yates, another former Padre, is going to be a Dodger. The organization hasn't announced it yet because they don't have roster space. Might not still, maybe it doesn't happen. Do you think this happens like by FanFest, which is this weekend, or is there a way they kind of wait it out and could utilize that 60-day injured list when spring training rolls around?
Either or, it's really going to be up to them. How they want to do it. But adding Kirby Yates to their bullpen is, again, just continuing to add great players. As I mentioned, Kirby Yates, when healthy, has consistently been one of the best relievers in baseball over the last half decade, really longer, closer to a decade now. He's a little bit up there in age, but again, what's nice is he doesn't have to be the guy. You add him with Tanner Scott, you add him with Michael Kopech, you add him with all the high-powered arms they have in this organization. He's just someone who makes them better. And again, testament to the Dodgers. They consistently add good players who will help them win games. They don't say, oh, we've added 2 good players and we're done. They understand the importance of depth. They know firsthand how pitching injuries can, come in bunches. And all of a sudden, what looks like an area of strength, they're kind of scrambling a little bit. So they're taking no chances and building up as much depth as they can, which again is what every organization in baseball should try to do. And they do it well.
And a lot of these teams, a lot of these organizations, they have money. Some of them choose not to spend it. But as I said, with the Kirby Yates signing, that's a floor raiser for this team. The Tanner Scott signing, that's an absolute ceiling raiser for this team. And you feel really, really good. I'm going to put you on the spot. Bold prediction. How many wins for the Los Angeles Dodgers in 2025?
108. We're looking at a team that's going to put up, a massive win total. It's always hard to say someone's going to win 116 and break the record just because injuries happen. Maybe team kind of ramps down a little bit depending on where they are on the standings. It's hard to ever say a team's going to break the record. Are they talented enough to do so? Absolutely. I'm just not quite brave enough to go on a limb there, but I'd say 108.
Rest of the NL West is also very, very good. Padres will still very much compete. San Francisco got better, and we were talking before about Arizona being very much in the mix to try to take some wins away from LA. So 108 feels pretty okay. I'm okay with it, is what I'm saying.
108 and 54 would make you an elite team. And again, if it's 111, if it's 114, if it's 117. I'm not going to be shocked. This is an incredibly talented team that's, deep in talent everywhere. And not just, as I mentioned, in the big leagues, they have guys they can pull up. Inevitably, guys get hurt, underperformance strikes, things happen. They have guys they can pull up to plug holes. And they also have guys that they can put together in really nice trade packages. The Dodgers' ability to add impact players at the deadline pretty much every single year comes from their incredible ability to scout and develop homegrown players that teams want. And they've done a great job too, picking the right guys to trade. Really, the last time they made a quote unquote mistake, Yordan Alvarez, of course, that's 2017. O'Neal Cruz to a degree. Tony Watson was good for the Dodgers, but I mean, that's one you probably would like to have back. Again, we're talking 7-8 years ago now. Over the last 4 or 5 years, you look at the big trades the Dodgers have made, there hasn't really been a guy they've traded. It's like, oh man, that one didn't work out. At least nothing that has hurt them in any way, shape, or form. So again, they do a great job of drafting, developing players, and then knowing which ones to keep and which ones to trade, which is every bit as much part of the battle.
Yeah, and we saw that with Mookie. We saw that with the Michael Busch trade to the Cubs. Again, it's a I've said it a million times already on the internet. It's a fun time to be a Dodger fan. That's for dang sure.
The Scherzer Turner deal. Gabriel Ruiz and Josiah Gray. Again, nice players who've done some good things, but you certainly wouldn't say, "Oh man, I wish we had them back for what we got from Max Scherzer and Trey Turner." And again, Michael Busch, he's a good player, and that was a different case where the Dodgers were just so loaded. They had nowhere for him to play. You have Shohei Ohtani at DH, Freddie Freeman at first, Max Muncy at third. There's just nowhere for him to play. And that's something we see the Dodgers, when they trade guys like that, they know they're talented, but they just don't have a spot for them because they have so many other good players.
Yeah, woe is me, I guess, for this Dodgers front office. All these spots, no spot available on the 40-man for Kirby Yates. By the way, I'll be talking more about that tonight on my show, All Dodgers Podcast with Clint Pasillas. Tune into that later on, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Kyle, I want to thank you for hanging out with me today, filling in for Alanna. You did a kick-ass job, as I expected. Fun talking baseball with you. Hopefully we can do it again soon.
Absolutely, Clint. And I want to add one last plug for Gidry's Guardian and Alanna. I've adopted 2 pit bull mix rescues. One of them was actually through Alanna and Gidry's Guardian. A few years ago, she pointed me to a 1-year-old pit mix who was in a high kill shelter in Downey, was on the list. We went in and we adopted him, and he's now an amazing part of our family. He's best friends with my 4-year-old daughter. And so I would encourage everyone to help support Gidry's Guardian and adopt, don't shop. I know firsthand how successful and great it is.
I love that. Love to hear that. Appreciate you adding that for Riz is going to love hearing that. Absolutely. Kyle, thanks again. Guys, if you're not subscribed to Friar Territory, go do that. I'll make sure the link is in the description of this video and also on our podcast side. If you're not subscribed to Dodgers Territory, go do it. It's free. All of these things are free to subscribe to. Give it a like. Share with your friends. Share with your grandma. All that kind of stuff. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.